Well, here we are. We're on the start of week 3. Obviously, we all know the market has been in crazy turmoil since, we started this whole project. So we picked a really bad time to start. But the whole purpose of this is to basically get a full example of what might actually happen in real life. So for those of you just tuning in, the goal of this project is we're going to ask ChatGPT to give us stock picks and tell us how should we invest our money. Now, all of this money in this video and all of the series is play money. So just keep that in mind when we're doing this. It's not actually taking massive losses, but it's an experiment to see what can happen when we give ChatGPT some parameters. We tell it what we're doing, what we want to do, and hopefully it's able to get us to where we gotta go. Now, we were thrown a bit of a curveball last week when all of our stocks lost a lot of money, and doesn't look that great this week either. So hopefully we can kind of figure out a little bit of what's going on, and ChatGPT can give us some suggestions on what to do about it, because some of these results are going to be pretty interesting. So before we jump into that, as always, what we need to do is we need to update all of our pricing, and then we need to give it to ChatGPT, let it analyze what's going on, and it's going to tell us what we should do next. So let's go take a look at the computer real quick and see what's happening. So just got done putting all of the stuff on the document, and as we can see, it doesn't really look all that great. Our biggest loser of this week was actually Nvidia, and very close behind was AMD. Now we can see that most of our tech stocks aren't really doing that great. Now, we all know that there's a lot of volatility in AI, tech manufacturing, and all the stuff that's going on in a geopolitical world. It makes sense that we're going to see some issues with these stocks. But I want to see, what does ChatGPT think is going on? So we can see that Microsoft and Nvidia have fallen. Apple, a little bit. Meta, and then we also have Google, have had basically the same level of drop. AMD was another huge one. Amazon also had a drop. That one kind of surprised me a little bit because, everybody shops at Amazon. But that might also be telling as to what's going on in the greater economy. Again, I'm curious to see what GPT thinks. And then we can see here that PayPal lost, Netflix lost, Zoom lost. But what I thought was very interesting is, so last week we told GPT, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what we're having an issue with. What are your suggestions to change? And GPT told us to go ahead and invest in Progressive, Verve, and then Rivian. Now, I might have messed up the other one's name. Not too familiar with who they are or what they sell, but we saw that those were the only ones that won. Those were the only good stocks that we had picked, was the ones that ChatGPT suggested last week. Now, they may have had small, minor gains, but we had gains nonetheless. On our entire portfolio, we can see that we've lost quite a bit of money. We are getting darn near close to being down $1,000. But this is a 6-month project. With these sorts of things, we can't expect it to immediately just shoot up or shoot all the way down. We're going to see a little bit of up and down. So I expect as we continue, we're probably going to end up seeing some growth, hopefully in a positive direction. But when we're down this far, it might take us a minute to get there. With all of that said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export this, and then we're going to give it to GPT and see what does it say is going on and what does it think we should do next. So now the next thing we have is ChatGPT open. As we can see, I've gone ahead, taken our Excel sheet, pulled it off of the Google Drive, and we put it in here. I've been very pleased with GPT so far with how it sits there and thinks for a minute. I think I get better results whenever it sits and thinks about what it's going to say before it just throws out whatever. Previous iterations would just kind of throw out a number, which was not entirely great. So unfortunately, it is misunderstanding where we're at. So it's thinking that we initially invested quite a bit more than we actually did. So we might have to get it to readjust, but ignoring those numbers, that's why we keep a separate spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and see kind of what it's telling us. So it's telling us that our underperformers for potential sales have notable declines. If you believe these stocks are struggling due to short-term volatility rather than fundamental weakness, holding might be a better option. However, if their outlook has changed significantly, you should consider. My personal opinion is I think Google and Nvidia, I don't think they're going anywhere. They're very large household names, at least from what I can tell when I talk to other people. You say Nvidia, they know exactly what that is. You say Google, they know exactly what that is. I think that we're just kind of in this weird little AI bubble situation thing going on. So that might be what's causing some of their valuations to fall. And it says that our portfolio is heavily weighted towards towards the tech stocks, which I agree with. And it is recommended that we consider kind of switching up a little bit more towards healthcare, energy, or consumer staples to balance the risk. Some stocks might be undervalued right now due to the pullback, which we were experiencing this week and last week. We should consider waiting, I think, from what we can tell. Let's ask, what does it think caused AMD and Nvidia to have a significant drop? All right, so let's see what it says for what caused this stock drop. And maybe it can give us a little bit more clarification. So everybody keeps talking about the tariffs, which I guess tomorrow we should be seeing if more are going to happen. But its first thing is the Trump administration's announcement of new tariffs and potential export controls targeting China has raised investor anxiety. Nvidia CFO Colleen Kress expressed concerns about these unknowns leading to a stock drop of over 4%. So that could be where we're getting most of our issue. Emergence of low-cost AI competitors. This introduction of cost-effective AI models, such as DeepSeek's R1, has intensified competition. This development has led to investor apprehension about reduced demand for high-end AI chips from companies like Nvidia and AMD. So I think that we're going right back to where we're having some issues with AI. Now, I do think that this will eventually balance out. But Nvidia and AMD are kind of like on the forefront of it. So I feel like until this thing kind of settles, they're going to be the ones that are kind of stuck the most. Other things that I really enjoy so far with this GPT experiment is that it'll actually give us articles to look at for its sources. I've heard in the past that it just makes up random things. Now, maybe that was previous iterations before I started playing with GPT, but so far, it seems to actually reference its sources and it'll give you the links, which is really, really cool in my opinion, because we can see right over here that it has everything listed out with a clickable link so that we can go and see what did they find. So we can click on this one, the New York Post, brings us immediately to whatever that source is. We can go back and we look at the Associated Press. Again, same thing. It'll tell us exactly what source it used. And for the most part, it seems like it's pretty accurate. So I've been pretty impressed with this. I think right now what we're going to do for this particular week is we're just going to leave everything where it is. We're going to hold, and hopefully next week we can see some gains. If we continue to see some underperformance, we might have to cut our losses and switch up to a different sector entirely. Maybe we get a win on this one, maybe we don't. But I do think that for the most part, I want to try and limit most of our buy and sells on a quick basis. I want to give it at least a month, maybe a quarter to kind of see what's going on, unless we have a dramatic drop. But with some of these stocks, we're already hitting 10, 20, maybe we get up to 30% decreases. That could be problematic. So I don't know if we want to go too far. So with that being said, this is our Monday update. I look forward to talking to you guys again next week on next Monday's update. And hopefully this week brings some good increases on our stock portfolio so we can have some success and GPT is hopefully not wrong. Again, this is an experiment to see what's going on. I'm going to have a post every single Monday on the market and the status of our portfolio. There's going to be a link to our document that tracks everything that's going on. So if you're curious and you want to check in, go ahead, take a look. I update it regularly, so it'll always be there. Leave a comment below. Let me know. Should we sell AMD? Should we sell Nvidia? And if you think so, let me know why. Why do you think we should sell? Anyway, I will see you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed this. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.